Salaried employees are often confused whether they can claim both HRA exemption and housing loan interest deduction at the same time. So in this video, we shall discuss the rules applicable and the documents required if we can claim this both. First, we will see the conditions to claim the housing loan interest. The relevant section is section 24 of the Income Tax Act. The condition is house has to be completed and you have taken a loan on that. So the capital is borrowed. If the purpose is construction or purchase of house, then you can claim a deduction up to 2 lakh rupees. And if the purpose is relating to repairs, then you can claim up to 30,000. So the benefit of housing loan interest is that you can set off this interest amount against your salary income. So your total income get reduced and therefore the tax get reduced. Now conditions to claim HRA says the relevant section 10(13)(a) of the Income Tax Act. It has got the rules which says that we get the least of the following as the deduction. HRA received 40% or 50% of the salary. Salary means basic plus DA plus commission. 50% in case of metro cities, 40% in case of any other city. Third condition, rent paid minus 10% of the salary. So list of the three is allowed as deductions. So let's say you received HRA of rupees 2 lakh and you are getting a deduction of 1,50,000. Only the balance will be added in your salary income and you have to pay tax on that. There is a condition if your rent amount is more than 1 lakh in a year, then you have to furnish landlord's PAN number to the employer so that they can write that PAN number in the tedious form that they are going to submit in form 24Q. Next important thing, HRA exemption is not allowed when you are living in own house. So if you are living in own house, then deduction is not allowed. Or if you are not paying any rent, let's say you are staying in your relative or some other house and you are not paying any rent, then you cannot claim this exemption. Also, if you see the third point, it says rent paid minus 10% of the salary. If you are not paying any rent, then this point becomes 0. So automatically the deductions will get 0 and the whole HRA which you are receiving will be taxable. Now we will see the examples why this question is coming, whether we can claim both HRA and housing loan interest at the same time. Many people are living in city because of their job and their own house is in village, or your own house is under reconstruction or major renovation, so you have to live in a rented house. Or the reason might be the house you are owning is small, let's say it's 1 BHK and you want to stay in 3 BHK or 5 BHK or something, so you have rented out that 1 BHK house and now you are staying in 3 or 5 BHK house. Fourth point, most important point for which many employees are doing this, distance between the office and the owned house. The distance between the office and the owned house is at a very high distance. So to avoid the daily long traveling to work from this owned house to office, what they do is instead of staying in the own house, they are staying in some nearby rented property. Last example, maybe your parents are living in the owned house and you are living in some rented property or something. So these are the few examples which arise the question whether both the deductions can be availed or not. So we will examine and see this both the conditions that we have seen for the HRA and housing loan conditions, they both are independent of each other. And no section says that this benefit cannot be claimed at the same time. So both deduction can be claimed in the same financial year. Now it is important that the reason should be genuine. If the reason is not genuine, then income tax department can take a penal action against you for providing the false information. So claim only when it is genuine, because there is a high probability that you will get a tax notice, because in your income tax return you have to choose that you are claiming HRA exemption. Then under house property you will be claiming that interest deductions. So when the income tax software sees that you are claiming both the deduction and exemption, there is a high probability that you will get a income tax notice. And it is good that if your purpose and reason is genuine, then you claim this deduction and exemption both in your form 16, so that you are not getting excess of refund from the tax department. And the income tax department will be assured that employer might have at least checked that there is a genuine reason documented by the employer. That is why the employee is claiming both HRA and housing loan interest. So we have a clarity that there is no section which prohibit claiming both the deductions. Now to claim both the deductions, we need to have these 10 documents ready, so that if any notice comes, we are ready for the reply. This rent agreement should be duly registered, or at least should be notarized. Monthly rent receipt. Do collect monthly rent receipt from your landlord. It should be stamped and signed by him. Third, always make the rent payments through the bank account. So you can show the tax officer, okay, this payment to the landlord has been made through the bank accounts. Fourth, have the PAN card of the landlord with you. It's basic KYC, so it's not fake landlord. Fifth point is important: income tax return and tax computation sheet of the landlord. Why this is required? So that you can prove that the owner is paying taxes on the rent that he is collecting, because the rent you are paying is an expense for you, and at the same time this is an income for the landlord. So this proves that yes, your landlord is actually paying income tax on this rent. 6, have a proper reason documented why you are not staying in your own house. Let's say you have emailed your HR with the reason that why you are not staying. Let's say your own house is very far away, and you have told them this is the reason. 7th, housing loan interest certificate from the bank. Do collect a housing loan interest certificate from the bank that during the year 2021 you have paid this much interest to the bank. Then you must have the sanction letter that the loan has been properly sanctioned. 9th, completion certificate, because interest is allowed as deductions only if the house is completed. 10th, the repayment statement and the schedule for the year, let's say from the 1st April 2020 to March 21. So this basic 10 documents if you are holding and your reason is genuine, then it is beneficial for you to claim both the exemption and the deductions. Hope our video will help you to understand the basics about these both deductions and help you claim the maximum tax benefit.